So here's what's going to happen. You are going to go up to File, and then find that file. It's called a cantilever table. The biggest thing that's different about my SketchUp files is that if you see these tabs right here, now this might look different on your computer, especially if you have an iPad or a Apple computer. It definitely look different on an iPhone. I'll cover that in a different one. But you have table, you have these tabs right here, and that'll always, by clicking on those, it'll always help you find your way back to certain spots. There's 4 different spots on this particular file: thick cuts, glue up, cuts thin, and table. That way, if you start getting in here and you start, I'm just going to do a little movement around here. I'm going to go up to, you start doing this kind of stuff, and then all of a sudden you get really lost and you go, how do I get back? Just go up to here and click on table again. It'll bring you back to that site. Cuts thin, we'll take you back to that. Okay, that's the big thing that's different with video, or excuse me, SketchUp files that I create. I use these tabs a lot. The other thing that you're going to use once you're in there are these icons right here. These are really the basic icons that you're going to use. This first one is called Orbit, and if you click on that, it'll give you this icon that you see right now, which is that red and green thing that's moving around. And then you can use, if you have a mouse, you use your mouse, or you can use your finger if you have a touch screen, and then just use your finger to start orbiting around. That's called Orbit. That gives you different perspectives on things. Then again, now you start getting lost. You start seeing this kind of gobbledygook where because you're in 3D, this stuff's going to start going right over the top of itself, right? So then if you have trouble with that, then just go back up here to like table or cuts thin. It'll get you back to those particular perspectives where you can kind of see what's going on. Another one is hand right here, or pan. It's also called hand. It's a hand that comes up. That allows you to move like left to right, up, down. It doesn't change the 3-dimensional perspective, but it does allow you to move the items on your screen. Another one, next one up is zoom, and that allows you to go up and down. You can also do that if you have a touch screen. You can also do it with your fingers, just like you would on any touchscreen screen. Once you're in that mode of zoom, you can do it with your fingers on the screen itself. Same thing with going back to the hand now. If you're in the hand, see the hand there? You can move via the touch screen. You can actually move your stuff left and right, up and down, diagonally, etc. You can also do the same with orbit. You can start to use, I'm using my finger right now just to move that stuff around 3-dimensionally. It does take a little while to get used to that. Hope you don't get seasickness or flight sickness there. Not sure what this one is. I don't use that zoom window. I don't know what that is. Okay. Zoom extents actually basically does something. Don't even bother with it right now. Then the other thing that you're going to use, I'm going to go back to table here. I clicked on table and now it found that table. The other thing that the other icons that are really I like to use are these up here. And this particular one is called X-ray, so I'm going to click on that, and you can see it actually takes you inside of the wood itself. You're starting to see the guts, where the threaded tenons are, where I have some festool dominoes or biscuits, and so on. And then you can combine that by going over to this orbit again, right? And then you can see what you're doing here is you're looking at the X-ray view, but then you're also orbiting around, or you go over to hand and move it to the left, to the right, up, down, diagonally, or you zoom in onto something. Then again, you start getting in here and you get lost. Okay, you can see my threaded tenon right in there, and I want to see that from the other side, so I'm going to click on orbit. So I'm going to orbit around and go, oh boy. Okay, you can kind of see where all this stuff goes, right? This is X-ray. So again, you can use that X-ray in combination with these other ones here. Then you have this thing called back edges. I don't use that too often. It's shows you mainly the colors, the outside, but it also shows a little bit of the inside. The other one is Wireframe, which is another way of looking at things. You're seeing through it. Again, I'm using orbit right now to move around. Another is this hidden line. That's kind of another feature. I don't use that too often, to be honest with you. Before I go to, I'm going to go to shaded with textures. Now, sometimes you'll end up seeing this stuff here, and it's because you left one of these on. So if you have to turn some of these off, some of them you turn off and on, like I'm doing right here. Same thing with that, you're turning it on and off. Whereas other ones, once you click on them, like the shaded with textures, it'll just kind of give you what it is you're looking for. The other thing you can do here is look at monochrome, which is basically white. That's kind of a nice one, not bad for printing, like especially if you have a black and white printer. Once you put it into that mode. This is similar. I forget what that one's called. Hidden line, okay. And then the other one is this one here, which is, what's it called? Shaded. So it gives you basically the color, but it doesn't show you the grain and the knots and so on like this one does. This one, shaded with textures, shows you knots and grain and so on. The one downside of that is actually if you have a slow computer, it slows you down because it's trying to rebuild that constantly. So if you find that this stuff is kind of slow on you because you have a slow computer, then a good one to use is this one here, which is the, what's it called? Shaded. That gives you the color, but it also makes the screen rebuild a lot quicker. Okay, these you can play with, no harm done. There's a, that one takes you to what? ISO. This one takes you to a top. Well, that doesn't work that well. This one, again, I don't use these too often. Again, the reason I don't is because I have these tabs set up with the view that I really want to see. And then that just does the job for me instead. I think those are the ones you can print. You can go to File, Print Setup. You'd want to, if you're going to print, you're almost always going to want to print in landscape. So if you don't have landscape set up, if it's showing up as portrait, then change it to landscape, and then change it to whatever your printer is. Properties, I don't know. I haven't played with this too much in Viewer because I use SketchUp itself as different functions. But you can go ahead and print the actual item. So if you're going to print this, and like right here you see this word is off the screen, and over here it's off the screen, then you're not going to see that on the printed copy either. So what you want to do there is maybe go up to zoom and then zoom in a little bit. I'm zooming with my finger or with the mouse. Now I can see everything over here, everything all the way over here. Everything's kind of showing up where I want it. Now if I do a file print, it'll end up printing what I see there. That's the downside of SketchUp, is there's a whole bunch of other stuff that's going on up here. You can't see it because I don't allow you to see it, but it's there you go. That's where you really kind of want to always be. Again, the project itself, this particular one is a table, couch table for a mouse pad, or there's some cup holders in here. There's a whole different series of tutorials on that. So there you go.